Hi, welcome back to Open Hand Farm. It is a hot day today. This morning was nice and we had, let's say we had a sprinkle. I won't really call it a rain. I came out last night and deep watered as much as I could. Things are just so dry. This heat just will not stop. We're in the 90s this week, up to the hundreds, and no rain in sight. So it's hard. The garden is getting hot and sad. I wanted to come out this morning before things got wilty, but with the sprinkling going on, I didn't know if it was going to all out rain. So that means you're going to get to see the garden in its worst shape. You see Mark out there. We take 2-liter bottles and fill them with water and freeze them and lay them in the rabbit tractor for the rabbits to lean against and get cool on hot days like this. So he's replacing a water bottle and hopefully they'll stay cool. Well, let's take a look and see what we can see in this heat and how things have changed a little bit this week. The chickens are going crazy because Mark's out here, and that means they think it's feeding time, but it's not right now. So ignore them, they'll get over it soon. Let's look at the tomatoes. We have lots of tomatoes on the vines, but no red tomatoes yet. And you can see that the leaves are all curling up, and that's an indication that they're too hot and they're trying to protect themselves from this hot sun. I just feel so bad for them. This one is just really curled up. It wasn't that bad last night when I was watering, but see all of the tomatoes? This one looks like it's starting to turn. I was so careful this year to label all of my tomatoes so that I would have the appropriate ones and know their names. This one is supposed to be a San Marzano, but looking at it and looking at the color, I'm thinking it's a pineapple because they are yellow. So we'll just have to wait a few days and see what turns out. I had a friend labeling containers with me and maybe I grabbed the wrong one, but the tomatoes are very hot, very full, but very hot. I tried to take off some of the lower leaves last night so that the plant has less to try to maintain in this heat, but they're just not very happy. I've also tried to take all the suckers off so that they have less to maintain there. I don't know if you know what suckers are. Let me see if I can see one that might have popped up just since yesterday, or one I missed. Oh, here's a little one. So in the armpit, you've got the main stem of the tomato. Then you have a kind of a sun leaf, I guess. It catches the sun. Then in the armpit, you have a third one coming out, and that is a sucker. And that just sucks the energy off the plant. Now, eventually, it will grow tomatoes, but it'll be as if you have two leads, which I do have on this plant. I have this one here, and this was the original lead, and I know that because it's been wrapped in the rope. At some point, this one was a sucker, and I somehow missed it, so now it is acting as a second lead. But again, you see these leaves are so curled up, so sad, trying to protect themselves from the sun. Hey girls, what you clucking about? Are you hot too? Go drink your water. I'm glad you have shade in there. All right, let's head over to the food forest. I do have something different in here. If you watched my community garden tour video, then you know that one of the ladies had Malabar spinach. So this is where I planted the Malabar spinach that she gave me. And I have to say that it is not feeling the sun either. Even though it is a spinach that can take the full sun, which is great, it just is really struggling since I just transplanted it, but it's still making it. It's not giving up yet. I made this trellis to put it in front of, and it will grow up this and maybe even down the other side. We'll see. The rest of the garden is doing well. We haven't had many weeds come back this week because of the extreme heat. It's really windy here today, which is nice. You can see everything blowing. These flowers are sure loving the sun. I love that. Little butterfly there. The peppers are still going strong. I'm waiting to see what color these peppers are supposed to be. I don't know if they're the chocolates or if they're the giant goldens, so we'll see. This one looks like a poblano. I love poblanos. I want to show you this flower. This is a new zinnia I'm growing this year. It's called a Jazzy Red, and it's really pretty, but it's kind of small in comparison to my other zinnias. This okra, of course, is loving the heat, although yesterday it was even wilted and very sad looking. It's looking a little wilted today. I watered them really well yesterday, but that's when you know it's hot, when okra wilts. Our berries are not liking all of this either. I've been trying to keep them picked, but I haven't done a good job. Birds have been picking at them. Oh, here's a really good one here. Yum. The kale just keeps going strong, even in this heat, you guys. I keep breaking it up and it keeps growing back. These tomatoes I cleaned up really well last night. It seemed like every time I got over here, I decided I needed to go in and I would work on them later. So last night in the dark, I was trying to clean them up, but right here, I see a sucker. So I'm going to pinch that off. Anything that you can keep your plants from expending extra energy in heat like this is great. So we have lots of little cherry tomatoes, but nothing turning red yet. This is what breaks my heart when I look out the window and I see this. When I see my squash all wilted. These down here in the shade aren't too bad, but as you get higher up in the sun, they just look so sad. I feel bad for them. But look at these squash, you guys. I love it. And I wanted to show you, I told you that these squash were vine borer resistant, and I have to show you, when I was watering last night, it is so obvious that they have had vine borers. Look at that. But it heals itself and it just keeps going. And that's what I have found on most of these. They have had some sort of vine borer dig into them, but they heal themselves and keep going. That's awesome. My beans are doing okay. They're hot, but they're going, and they've got little flowers on some of them. Here's a view of the fire pit and the food forest. Oh my goodness, my poor little cucumbers. The heat is just dragging on them too. The bunnies are hiding in their little house with their ice. And look at those cucumbers. They're so sad. I came out yesterday and saw them like this and thought, oh no, I think they really are dying. But last night they looked great in the cooler evening, and I gave them lots of water. So hopefully they'll maintain. Okay, we walked up to the front garden. The flowers are still going to town. I keep pinching off the calendula to dry it to use for salves or whatever else I want to use it for. I did go through all of this last night and tried to deadhead. Like here's one right here I missed. These little deadheads, and some that are really dry, like this one that I just dropped seed from, so that I could just clean those up, make them look a little better. And the bee balm, I tried to clean it up. It's really wilty right now, but it's so pretty with those purple flowers. I do have a little sunflower here. This one is an autumn sunflower, so it's orange. Looks like it has a Japanese beetle on it, so I'll be knocking that off. My poor raspberries, I watered them so well yesterday morning, and I'm hoping that they'll start actually turning red soon, but they're just really struggling with all this heat. I cleaned out these boxes. I took out the big cabbage that was here. These two I left to grow a little bit more. I took all the beets out of this one, and I replanted some little seedlings. You can see right there. These are kale. I have one turnip that didn't die on me, and then I've got a couple of clusters of beets. They're little tiny. And I put some of these carrot tops around it because we have a little vole or something that gets in here and will eat, especially eat my kale seedlings. And I noticed that they didn't eat anything out of the carrot bed. So I laid some of the carrot tops around my seedlings that I planted in hopes to maybe trick them to thinking it's not something they want. We'll see if that works. And then over here, I pulled all the carrots out. We had some really nice orange and purple carrots. Again, I've got some seedlings planted in here. These are kohlrabis, and I also put some carrot tops around them. These carrot tops were bright green yesterday. This kale is looking sad. Things are just surviving right now. Just so dry and hot. Trying to do what I can. When I did my video last time, I ended it by digging up a parsley plant. The reason I did that is last year, oh my goodness, you guys, I was out there doing the video and I had to turn my phone off. Actually, I didn't turn it off. It turned itself off because it was too hot. It indicated that the temperatures were too hot and I couldn't use my phone. So I'm finishing up inside. I was telling you when it turned off that last week at the end of my video, I dug up a parsley plant. And the reason I did that is because I had found swallowtail butterfly caterpillars on my parsley in the front yard. Last year we had them on dill, so I kept preparing my dill. I was watering it. I was making sure I was taking really good care of it so they would have plenty of dill to eat. Then I was in my front garden and I looked down. I'm like, well, what is eating my parsley? I figured it out. So I dug some up to bring inside. because my granddaughter last year loved watching the caterpillars turn into butterflies. So I bought this container to watch them in. And it just pops up, and then when you're done with it, you can just fold it up into a circle. So what I did is I put parsley in a jar, actually, because the parsley that I planted in the pot did not survive. It was just too hot. But they enjoy the parsley, whether it's planted in dirt or just in water. And they continue to eat it. So see, we have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And my granddaughter just loves sitting here looking at them and petting them. I've held the little zipper section open. Now, if you didn't want to leave this open, which we won't, once they turn into chrysalis, because I don't want it to be open when they turn into a butterfly, this side has like a window. So you can see very clearly in there what's going on. So we'll go ahead and zip that up when they turn into a chrysalis. And yes, that is poop down there on the floor. They poop a lot, guys. That's just the reality of nature. We just shake it out, and when it's all done for the season, I'll clean it out really well. But anyway, I wanted to share with you that we are watching some caterpillars until they turn into butterflies. So if you have a dill or a parsley plant and you have caterpillars that look like this, then they are black swallowtail butterflies, and they're so much fun to watch. Thanks so much for watching today. I'm sorry it was cut short, but it's just too hot. You don't need to be out there, guys. It's too hot. So until next week, blessings on you and yours.